And me, like, I don't have an ego. I have a complex, like a Superman complex.
Got that sunshine on my face. I reboot and ride.
But, you know, it sort of struck a chord with me because, you know, you do see everyone wanting the biggest, the baddest, the next big cruiser or the next big fast bike and or the big ATV. Like I remember when I got my Guzzi, and you know, I originally wanted a Pan Am. I wanted the first year Pan Am. Whenever I was waiting for it, I put a deposit down and everything on it because I was excited for Harley to come out with it, and I was excited to get my hands on the Pan Am and see what she was all about. But you know, the more I thought about it, the more that the more I was working at the plant and seeing the Pan Ams in person, and it's nothing against the styling because I do think it's pretty cool. It was just I I didn't want to be stuck with a first year bike that might have first year bike problems, if that makes sense. On top of the fact that it was a mighty big adventure bike, and I don't think I was ready for it. And you know, the more I thought about it, the more I kept coming back to the V85 TT because that was what I was looking for all along. Like it checked all the boxes for me. And I remember telling my wife a couple of weeks ago when we got the California, we're looking at the California, and I said, you know, I found an old email that I sent to myself, you know, a year and a half before I got my V85 TT that I was like, you should look into this and get this. And you know, it's little things like that that you don't think about. That down the road, you're like, man, you know, you're pretty smart to go down that path whenever you didn't think that's the path you were going to go down. So it's nice to be, I guess, have a self validation when it comes to that. And you know, Edith's not the fastest. She's not the biggest. I mean, she's probably the heaviest out of all four bikes, just because of the top heavy. But I mean, she fits what I need, and you know, she's been there for me all the time, and I got some projects working on her to get her up and running. So I'm excited to get her on the channel as soon as I can too. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming, but I guess the main thing is you know, hear you're never gonna hear any me you're never gonna hear me bad mouth or talk down on other riders because that's not my style. Like that's not. I might make fun of, you know, poke fun, but that we all poke fun. Like I used to poke fun at myself when I would ride a Harley, and I wouldn't look like the typical Harley rider because it didn't have my leathers on, and I'm vegetarian, and I don't eat meat or drink beer, and I'm sober. So like all that like stuff, and you know, talking about putting egos aside and whatnot, and you you were living that life for a while with the lifestyle, I should say, the lifestyle brand. But you know, I'm thankful that you know, that I listened to my inner self, and that I went down this path where I'm, you know, on a 451cc cafe racer that I built myself. You know, that I got taken care of, or the, you know, the KLR that I've always wanted. Um, and when I got one of them, I knew that she wasn't going to be the fastest or she wasn't going to be anything other than my workhorse of a bike. And it's been nice to have her in the stable for what, 3 years now. I mean, speaking of that, like, listen to this. Like, the people were crazy whenever I did this, but we were on a Airbnb trip, my wife and I. She was my fiance at the time, and we had an '03 Goldwing. It was I think the 30th anniversary Goldwing. It was the yellow paint job. I'll throw a picture up on the screen, but like, we had that, and she was great. She took us down to one of our first big motorcycle trips down to Crisfield, Maryland, and you know, it was great. But again, it was just a big bike. And it's not saying that I can't handle a big bike, because I can. It's just whenever you're riding two up and you got a big bike, you definitely have to be on your P's and Q's. But getting back to the Airbnb story, like, we ended up going to the Airbnb, and it was I had to do some off-roading up a hill on dirt, gravel, not even like tar and chip, just gravel and dirt, to the Airbnb cabin. And lugging the Goldwing up that hill taught me to never ever get another big bike ever again. And that weekend, you know, there was a dealership about a half hour away from the Airbnb, and we went there the next day, and they had Marigold there. They had the Adventure KLR 650 in orange with the top box, and I traded in the Goldwing on the spot for the KLR, and left with the KLR instead of the Goldwing. And the dealership was like shocked. They're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I feel more comfortable on the KLR. I'm gonna take my wife to up. We're gonna get a bigger box. We're gonna get saddlebags, and we're gonna, you know, make this into my bike, because one, I've always wanted a KLR, and two, I don't need a Goldwing or, you know, Hayabusa." But, you know, it's here nor there when it comes to what bike you ride. As long as you're on two wheels, you know, you deserve respect. Like, you're out here, you know, riding amongst cars that are 3 times as wide as you, and, you know, sometimes 10 times as heavier than you, if not more. And you got to think about that whenever you're riding. And every rider deserves the respect that they get. No matter if they're riding a big bike or they're riding something as tall as I am. I think I was telling myself this morning whenever I was riding in, and you know, I bought for the whole rev range. I'm going to use the whole rev range, and you know, that's what's nice also about riding smaller displacement bikes like this, like you can just wind them out and you don't have to worry about the issues with anything other than your own limits. Like, I know that guy on the Busa was just wailing on it, but I mean, he had to literally stop because he was running out of areas to ride, because you can only take the speed so much in a controlled area like this.
Let's reboot and ride.
My face, leaving worries without a trace. Time to clear my head.
Yard sale. It's that time of season for yard sales.